This is the German flag. And this is Germany. Right in the middle of the EU and the entire old continent, better known as Europe. Despite its relatively small size, it is an incredibly diverse country. There is the heavily industrialized economic powerhouse West, where a lot of money is earned. Their mentality tends towards Romanic language countries like France or Spain. Which means, people are, for German standards, more relaxed here, especially people in the Rhine region who love their carnival, a quite un-German thing. Also, classic German characteristics like order, reliability and punctuality are not that much of a thing like in the rest of the country. Especially like in the South, where most of German stereotypes come from. The South is not less important for the economy than the West, and it's also very beautiful mountainous with the Alps mountain range. People here are considered to be particularly ambitious and love their rules and safety.
You'll hardly find anyone who's unemployed, and companies invest more than half of all the German research expenditure in Baden-Württemberg and Bavaria. Then there's the north of Germany. It is relatively poor, but people here are still the happiest in the country. We have beaches there and a lot of reserved but lovely people eat way more fish than sausage and schnitzel. They have a similar mentality as Scandinavian countries, especially Denmark, so they just don't need much to be happy. Also, everyone in Germany loves their funny but beautiful accent. And finally, the sorta left behind because historically quite unlucky East with all the Soviet drama, it was cut off from not only the rest of Germany but from the Western world. The Iron Curtain literally just went straight through Germany. Today, nothing really goes on there, besides the poor but sexy Berlin. Still, its people, culture and landscape is quite different from the rest of the country, and it gives you an individual picture of Germany. The unemployment rate there is the highest in the country, and people tend to be a bit more atheist and, let's say, critical of people that are not European. Therefore, people's mentality here is similar to Eastern Europe countries. However, people from Saxony and Thuringia value education pretty much and are considered to be the smartest people in the country. What this tells us is that basically all regions or even every single state in Germany could be its own country. In fact, that's what Germany was, until 1871, where the first German state was established. To give you an idea, let's briefly look at some history stuff about German states in the past and how today's Germany was founded. At the end of the 10th century, the Holy Roman Empire was born. 500 years later it was also called Holy Roman Empire of the German nation. Hence, it is the first German, kind of, state. It didn't even have a systematic written constitution or something. It was more like a bunch of cultures, languages, kings and religions that forms a very loose and undefined political entity, with a few big and many small, at least theoretically sovereign principalities, around 360 in number in 1650. A time where the job of a map creator had to be extremely funny. Later, Napoleon took over Europe and he created the Confederation of the Rhine. These were German nations that left the Holy Roman Empire to build another German-speaking state, which among other factors made it finally collapse. After Napoleon's power ended around 1815, Germany tried and failed to rebuild their recent empire. As consequence, a still very loose German federation was founded, the North German Federation, which was led by Prussia. 1866, Austria plus some South German states lose the Austro-Prussian War against the North German Federation, which gained the supremacy over the German states. As consequence, Prussia grabbed some more German land and expanded south, having a hard time to unite it properly. Eventually, the first official unitary German state formed 5 years later in 1871, with the victory over France in the Franco-Prussian War. I'm talking about the German Empire, or as Germans call it,
Deutsches Kaiserreich.
So, before the empire, there is a term for the German monarch, the Kaiser, which they have instead of a king or queen. It lasted until 1918, with the defeat of World War I. After that, the Weimar Republic was a thing. That piece of triggered Germans quite a lot, which is why some bad guys took over some years later in 1933. After the really bad guys did really bad things and luckily were defeated, Germany was again about to found a new state. The result became a thing in 1949, it is finally the state we have today. Well, at least formally, not its territory. It had to take another 45 years until the East states joined the Federation of Germany and the family was united once and for all. Since October 3, 1990, we have the Germany we all know from today's world map, yay! The point is, since 152 years a real German nation-state exists. This is quite young if you consider that German people live there over 1,000 years just side by side without really belong together. That explains the still visible diversity in the different German regions and the strong regional identification of people, more than the national identification. Most of the German states were longer their own country than they are a part of the United Germany. Similar situation in Italy. Italy became a state the first time in 1861. It served as a model for the first German Empire only 10 years later. Watching. This was a short overview about the diversity of Germany and how things developed like that. In the next video, I want to focus on the current situation in Germany and where do people live today inside the borders.